another edition of Broadlume's Webinar Wednesday series. My name is Dan Pratt. I'm one of the co-founders and the Chief Revenue Officer here at Broadlume. And today we are diving into the wonderful world of SEO. Specifically, we're going to talk about the 5 tips that you can take to drive more local SEO traffic to your website. Now, this is something that I am incredibly passionate about because before Todd and I started Broadlume, we actually met while working on the Google team. A lot of you know that story at this point, but one of the things specifically that we were focused on during our time at Google was helping the thousands of small businesses that we worked with every day master SEO. And so we're going to dive into the details here. It's going to get fun. Hopefully it won't go too long today, but I'm really excited to bring you this topic because it's something that every single retailer out there, every single business owner, frankly, really needs to have a strong grasp on, because SEO is one of the best ways that you can drive traffic to your website every single day. As a lot of you know, I've, over the years after Google, have become obsessed with helping small flooring businesses leverage technology to grow. And so again, it's another reason why I'm really excited to bring you guys this topic today. And a little fun fact about myself, before I started working in technology and before I started working in the flooring industry, I worked at a small bakery in Boston, Massachusetts to put myself through college. And we actually beat Bobby Flay in a throwdown. So if you're ever in Boston, Massachusetts, I highly recommend you check out Flower Bakery. It's one of the best bakeries in the country. Okay, with that said, let's dive into our agenda today because we have a lot to get through. So we're first going to start off today's webinar by giving just a quick overview of SEO for flooring retailers. Some of this might be, information you already know, but it's always good to kind of get a refresher around what SEO is and why it's important. We'll talk a little bit about SEO keywords and why SEO keywords as a concept is an important thing to understand as you're thinking about a lot of the optimization work you can do on your website. We'll talk about what it actually means to optimize, right? I think sometimes we take that for granted. We just say, hey, optimize for SEO and expect people know what we mean when we say that. So we'll dive into the details there, explain that a little bit in detail, and then we'll get into the meat of the conversation. We're going to talk about why local SEO is important, what it is and why it's important. And then I'm going to give you my 5 tips on how you can drive more local SEO traffic to your website. And then, like always, we're going to wrap things up with some Q&A. Okay, that's a lot to get through. So we're going to just dive right in. And like I said, I want to just give a quick overview on what search engine optimization is. Again, some of you might know this, but it's always good to get a little bit of a refresher. Search engine optimization is the process of improving your website to increase its visibility on search engines like Google and Microsoft. Pretty simple, right? You're making small changes to your website and other places to ensure that when people go to Google or Microsoft or other search engines and they type in a product or service, if it's flooring related, your business shows up, right? That's the whole point of crafting a good SEO strategy. Now, why is it important? Well, SEO is one of the single best ways that you can drive traffic to your website with relevant people, relevant traffic. And what I mean by that is, when someone goes to Google and they type in, flooring store near me, right? Or they type in hardwood flooring or best flooring for your basement. These are in-market shoppers raising their hand saying, hey, I'm looking for more information about this product and service that you sell. Please provide me with that information so that I can make a decision as quickly as possible, right? These are in-market customers that you're getting put in front of. And so it's incredibly important that you create a very sophisticated SEO strategy to be able to put yourself in front of those people as early and as often as you can. So when I look at sort of like the 3 main buckets of customers that you could drive to your website with a really good SEO strategy, the first is people that are obviously looking for products that you sell. So an example of that would be oak hardwood flooring. Someone's looking for oak hardwood flooring and they go to Google and they type that in, and that's a particular type of flooring that you carry. Well, you want to show up in that search, especially if these are folks that are in your local market that you could service. The second would be services that you provide, right? So flooring installation, carpet cleaning, et cetera, near me. Again, these are people raising their hands, looking for vendors to work with in these areas. And if you offer one of these services, you want Google to know that so that it can rank you high in Google search so that consumers looking for those services are able to find you very quickly. And then the last bucket there is information on the topics that you know well. And we're going to get into more detail on why this is important, right? But an example of this would be best flooring for dog owners or best flooring for your basement. These are questions that consumers that are looking to install flooring in their home are going to ask Google, looking for a response. And if you can be the company that gives them that information on your website, on your blog, et cetera, well, that's one step that consumer is now taking with your business and your brand. And that first step could ultimately lead to a transaction down the road. So those are the three buckets, right, that we want to be thinking about as we look at the importance of SEO. And when we think high level about why SEO matters, I think about just how much traffic search engines like Google drive to websites, all across the internet. Over 53% of all online traffic is driven by organic search. That's a massive number. More than half of people that are visiting every website on the internet are getting there through a search engine like Google or Microsoft. And so again, these are really important strategies for you as business owners to understand, because the better you can kind of gamify that experience, the better off you're going to be driving more traffic to your website. Now, the name of the game is just like making it as easy as possible for shoppers to find you when they're searching for certain keywords within Google. And so we are going to talk about that on the next slide. How do you think about the types of keywords that can cause your website to show up, and some of the strategies that you can deploy to make sure that you're choosing the right ones. But before we move on, I just want to say one thing, because we're going to talk a lot about the details of SEO. It's a lot of work, and there's no finish line, unfortunately. SEO is one of those things that you constantly have to be thinking about for a number of different reasons, right? Google changes its algorithm pretty frequently, once or twice a year. And so some things that ranked really well for you in the past might rank not so well for you after that change. Interests in your local market might change as well. So the types of keywords that people were searching a lot before that you may have ranked high for a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe have fallen out of favor, and new terms, new keywords, new themes, trends have emerged that you want to be vying for. So there's no finish line, unfortunately. This is an exercise that you have to keep up with every single day. It's one of the things that we at Broadlume think about for our customers all the time, because we kind of take on that responsibility for them. And so just keep that in mind as we're going through today's webinar, because a lot of the work that we'll talk about today, we'll just want to stay consistent on it, right? It's not an everyday thing necessarily, but certainly, throughout the month, you're checking in, making sure that a lot of these things are working in your favor. Okay, so we're going to move on here, and we're going to talk about SEO keywords. Now, when we use the term SEO keywords, what we really mean is just a keyword, right? So, what is a keyword? A keyword is basically a word or a phrase that someone types into Google when they're looking to learn more about something. Couldn't be more simpler than that, right? So if I'm looking for someone to install new floors in my home, as an example, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to type in flooring store near me, right? I would do that for anything that I'm searching. If I'm buying a new car or a new television, this is just how most people today start their buying journey. Over 81% of all consumers start their buying journey online, and this is exactly what that looks like. Now, Google determines which results to rank on their search engine page on whether the keywords on your website align with the keywords being used by someone like me, a searcher, in Google, along with a bunch of other factors, right? And that might seem like pretty obvious on the surface, right? If I go to Google and I type in flooring store near me, and Google serves me just a bunch of barbecue restaurants, right? Something that has nothing to do with flooring, well, Google isn't that helpful, right? And so it's really important that as we're talking about like how we optimize our websites for search engines in particular, that one concept we all really understand, right? The keywords that are on your website are used by Google to present people that are searching for things on Google with the results that are the most relevant to them, okay? So as we're doing keyword research, right, we want to be continuously monitoring the keywords that are driving the most traffic to our website. And you can do that in a couple of different ways. This is something that, we also provide to our customers, but it's a relatively straightforward thing. If you wanted to do it on your own, there are tools like Google's free keyword planner, a service called Ahrefs. There's a bunch out there if you just do a quick little Google search for keyword planning tools. But the goal is to have a general understanding of the types of keywords that are currently used to drive traffic to your website, right? So what does Google think you do as a business? Hopefully Google thinks that you sell flooring, right? That's sort of step one. But outside of that, what are the specific things that are causing, or the specific keywords that are causing traffic to hit your website? When we think about keywords, we're looking at keywords as something that could be really broad, right? Like flooring store near me. This is something that people are using when they are at the very earliest stages of their buying journey, right? They're just looking for a vendor to reach out to and see, how they might be able to help. But there are also keywords that become much more specific as people do their research, right? So you can imagine a keyword like hardwood flooring near me. Now people are starting to narrow down. It's not just flooring, right? It's hardwood flooring. It's a specific category of flooring, right? Or best flooring for basement, right? They know what room they need help with, but they're looking for an expert to help them understand, what are the products that they should be looking at. And then all the way down to like the brand and the line of product, right? So if someone's searching TrueCore 5 Series Copper Oak, right? You know that this person has already done a tremendous amount of research. They know the product, they know the name, they know the color. They're just looking for a vendor that carries that particular product because that's the decision that they've made. So it's important to understand, again, what keywords are driving traffic to your website so you can understand how you can update your website to promote more traffic for keywords that you want to be buying for. Okay, we're going to move on here and we're going to talk about what it means to optimize, because I think this is the thing that, most people get confused about when we talk about SEO, and rightly so, because there's a lot of different things that you can quote unquote optimize to create a better experience, a better search engine optimization experience for your website. So optimize in relation to SEO basically just refers to the changes or improvements that you can make to your website to better rank on Google's search engine results page. So when a consumer, a shopper goes to Google and they type in flooring store near me, and your website doesn't show up for that keyword term, there's work that you can do to optimize your website to ensure that future people searching for that keyword see your website, right? There are changes that you can make. Now, there are really 5 core areas of optimization in SEO. The first is on-page optimization. And I would say this is what most people think about when they think about SEO, right? Is what's happening on the pages of your website. So that would be things like keyword optimization, creating content around those keyword terms, right? For Google to kind of crawl and rank in their search engine results page. And then adding things like meta tags across the website, again, as a way for Google to understand some of the different services that you provide so that your website shows up in those relevant searches. The second bucket is technical SEO. So this is things like the site structure. Is your website optimized for mobile devices? What's the page speed, right? Is the basic health of your website good enough for the consumers that are shopping with you? Google wants to ensure that you have a stable website so that it's not sending traffic to a website that is consistently down or not mobile optimized. So the technical build of the website is also factored into the SEO algorithm. Off-page optimizations are also something that we look at, right? So this is things like backlinking and social signals, right? To, again, give Google a better understanding of how authoritative your domain is. And then, the 2 last ones that we look at are local SEO, which is the topic of today's webinar. So we're going to go into detail as to why local SEO is one of the more important things that flooring business should be optimizing for. So that includes things like, your Google business profile, local citations, ratings and reviews, basically things that you can curate within your local area that's going to help promote your website on the Google platform. And then finally, the user experience of your website, right? If your website hasn't been updated since 2006, it's not mobile optimized, it's difficult to go from point A to point B, you're going to not see as much SEO value from that experience than a website that is built to modern standards that's easy to use. So when we look at user experience, we're looking at things like site navigation, and then things like engaging multimedia. So videos on your website, high quality photos, even tools like product visualizers, right? To keep people that are on your website engaged in there for a longer stretch of time. Okay. So now that we kind of have an overview of what SEO is, I want to talk a little bit about local SEO specifically. So we looked at those 5 buckets in the last slide. Local SEO was one of the buckets that we referenced. And again, for local businesses, it's one of the most important areas that you can focus on to drive relevant local traffic to your website and in turn into your showroom. So local SEO is one of the most important things that you as a local business owner can do to increase the amount of traffic, local traffic, that's hitting your website. Now, there are 4 core benefits of local SEO, and we're going to dive into, very specific tips that help you take advantage of these 4 benefits. But in my mind, the 4 core benefits are local SEO enhances your search visibility. And what I mean by that is, if I'm looking for something at the national level, I might get one organic result from Google for that particular product or service that I'm looking for. If I'm looking for something at the local level, Google is giving me many different things in its search engine results page to interact with. Now, let's use a very specific example of this. If I do a Google search for flooring store in White Plains, New York, right? Let's say that's where I live. I'm in White Plains. Google is going to give me 3, potentially, as a business, 3 links for my business for shoppers to engage with, right? The first link would be here under places, right? So this is part of what Google calls its local pack. So it's basically your Google business profile plus a map, and there's a link in each one of those places. So if I type in flooring store, White Plains, New York, you can see I've got White Plains carpet, Cantor's carpet, A&N flooring, etc. And then to the right-hand side, I have a map that has those locations as well. So those are 2 places immediately that your business could show up if you're optimizing for SEO in the right way. And then if you scroll, you have your more traditional standard organic listings that you can engage with as well. So local SEO can enhance your search visibility. It gives shoppers, consumers, more opportunities to engage with your brand without you having to do much work outside of optimizing for this experience. The second core benefit is it builds credibility and drives referrals. And this is really done through reviews, which we're going to talk about in detail in a little bit. One of the most important things any business can optimize for reviews, and it has a pretty massive SEO benefit. The third core benefit is it drives traffic to physical locations, right? So as flooring store owners with showrooms, that's what we want, right? It's great to have really compelling digital experiences, but our job at Broadlume, when I think about how we provide value to our customers, is driving as much of that online traffic into their showroom as quickly as possible, because that's where business is transacted, right? That we know that. So that's one of the bigger benefits of local SEO, is it really helps to drive traffic to your physical location. And then finally, it's cost effective, right? If you think about it, that makes sense. You can optimize within a very small area, right? Instead of having this massive national footprint, you have this very small area they're optimizing for. It means that, a little budget, what I mean by that is time and energy and effort going into the optimization can go a long way in terms of providing you the type of results that you're looking for. Local SEO also enables you to promote your services to nearby customers that are actively searching for those particular services, right? That makes sense. And so that means that people, again, in your market, looking for flooring can immediately discover you as a viable option, right? It's one of the big benefits of local SEO. So long story short, every flooring retailer, right, needs to be investing in their local SEO strategy, because it's one of the best things that you can do to drive traffic to your website and foot traffic into your showroom. So now we're going to talk about the 5 tips to drive more local traffic to your website with local SEO. Okay, tip number 1 is optimize your Google business profile and other listings. Okay, so what do I mean by that? A Google business profile is simply an online listing from Google. Now, most of you listening probably have already gone through the steps to apply and get access to your Google business profile. If you've ever had to give your address, your business's address to Google, and they sent you a postcard to verify, then you've gone through this process. And if you have this here on the right-hand side, you can see with Oster Paint and Flooring, if you have this little unit, when you type in your name into Google, then you have a Google business profile. But basically, it's just an online listing from Google that provides people searching for products and services that you offer a little bit more information about your business. Now, it's important that once you have a GBP, it is very important to keep it updated. right? So you don't want to just like create it one time and then just have it filled with all wrong information or outdated information. You want to keep it updated as much as possible. And the way that I look at that, right, the way that I think about creating like a really good Google business profile experience is adding high quality images, that is high quality images of your store, the outside of your store, so people can have a visual representation of what your store looks like in their local area, but also high quality images of your showroom, the different products that you might carry in your showroom, some of the displays that you have set up. You know, a lot of the retailers that we work with have these beautiful, gorgeous showrooms that they spend so much time and energy making beautiful, and they never have the opportunity to show it off. This is a really good opportunity for you to do that. It's also a great opportunity for you to show off the work that you've done, right? If someone, you know, comes in and has this incredible hardwood project for you to take on, you get that work done and the end result is beautiful, take photos of that so that you can add it to your GPP page. It's going to help attract more business, right? Because when people visit this little section in Google, they're conducting research. They want to see, again, what work you've done, what products you carry. They're already starting their research once they're here, right? And this is seconds after maybe doing their initial search. So it's really important to keep this page updated. It's also important to make sure that things like your store hours, your phone number, you know, all of the more basic elements about your operation are kept up to date as well. There's nothing more frustrating, and I can attest to this as a consumer, than to check someone's hours out on Google and then you show up to their store and they're closed, right? It's like, you know, it immediately leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And that's such an easy thing to avoid with a little bit of updating, you know, on the Google side. You also want to make sure that you're adding relevant keywords into things like your about description within your Google business profile. So as you're typing out, you know, the about section, make sure that you include flooring related keywords. This is going to help you appear in flooring related searches locally. And then most importantly, and we're going to dive into this in greater detail in the next section here, is please encourage your customers, if they had a good experience, to leave a review on Google, because it's one of the single most effective things that you can do to get repeat business, right? Very simple ask. We'll give you some tips and tricks on how to do that in the next section here. So again, it's really important to make sure that you are constantly keeping your Google business profile up to date, you know, even if it's once a month, just making sure that you have all the details filled out. This is something that we do for our Broadlume customers, you know, every month because of how important it is. And so if you're not working with Broadlume, just make sure that you're checking in on this information and that it's kept up to date. Okay. Tip number 2, manage your online reviews. So I mentioned just a few seconds ago that managing your online reviews is in my opinion, one of the single most important things that you can do as a business owner to drive more referrals and overall traffic to your website. The way that I like to think about online reviews today is that it's the new word of mouth marketing channel for businesses to leverage. So what do I mean by that? Well, 10 years ago, word of mouth would have meant I needed new floors in my living room. So I go to my brother and I ask him, hey, you know, who did the floors in your kitchen? They did a great job. And he says, Bob's Carpet Mart. I say, okay, great. I call Bob's Carpet Mart and that's it, right? That's word of mouth. Today, things are quite a bit different, right? You know, I might go to my brother and say, hey, who did the floors in your kitchen? And he might tell me Bob's Carpet Mart. But instead of calling Bob right away, the very first thing I'm doing is I'm going to Google and I'm typing in Bob's Carpet Mart. And I'm looking at all the reviews that people have left because I want to make sure that other people, not just my brother, had a great experience with that business. I'm sure that you have out there familiarity with this, whether you're looking at what restaurants to eat at, right? Or what car mechanics or body shops to work at. Reviews are just like one of the factors in the decision-making process when you're buying pretty much anything. And we actually pulled some data on this. According to Trustpilot, 89% of consumers say checking online reviews is just part of their buying journey today. 89%, that's such a huge number, right? Basically, every single purchase made today, for the most part, right, people are taking an initial step to read some sort of review. So it's incredibly important that you have a strategy in place to foster positive reviews on your website, but through your website on Google and your Google business profile as well. One of the more fascinating things, in my opinion, about Google reviews in general is that Google actually values businesses that have positive reviews on their platform more than the businesses that don't. And so what that means is they're actually giving the businesses with positive reviews more benefits in things like their search, their search placements. So let me give you an example of that. Let's say I'm a retailer and I have 100 positive reviews on Google, and I have a competitor that's 20 miles away from me and they have only 5 positive reviews. Well, let's say that someone in my competitor's market, right, closer to that competitor's location, does a search for flooring near them. There's a good chance that even though I'm 20 miles away, Google's going to serve my location up to that person searching for flooring stores near them because I have better ratings online. So this can actually be like a pretty big competitive advantage. And a lot of our customers today spend not a lot of time, but they've incorporated asking for a review into their sales process. And so you can kind of see it here. This is one of our customers. His name is Todd Oser. He runs a store called Oser Paint and Flooring. This is like my favorite example to give when someone asks me like, how can I be doing a better job getting reviews for my business? Or even if I'm just talking about reviews, generally speaking. Todd, like I said, his store is in Georgetown, Kentucky. They have a population of about 30,000 people. And so he has over, I think in total across all the different review platforms, Todd has over 500 reviews. But just on Google alone, he has over 200 reviews. And you can see here, right? These are reviews that were left a week ago, so they're consistent. And when I asked Todd, like, hey, how did you get to this point? It's pretty impressive. He said, oh, it's pretty simple. After every job we do, we send a text message or an email that says, hey, thank you so much for supporting a small business. If you had a good experience, it would mean a lot if you left us a positive review. And then he just links them to the review page on their Broadlume website where they're very easily able to leave a review on Google. And that's how he's generated over 200 reviews. And so what I love about that is it's a great tool for Todd and his team to get more referral business, because again, reviews is the new word of mouth marketing. So the people that have really positive experiences in Georgetown, Kentucky, that are telling their friends, hey, you should go shop at Oser Paint and Flooring if you need flooring. And those people go online and they search Oser Paint and Flooring, they're going to see that hundreds of people in Georgetown, Kentucky have also had a really positive experience. Another good thing that Todd does that everyone should do is he responds to pretty much every review. Now, these two haven't been responded to because they're very, very recent, but if you look at all of the reviews, there's responses from Todd and his team, and he's responding to the good reviews and the bad reviews, right? And that is such an incredibly important tactic that you can take because, again, it signals to people in your market that you care about the work that you do, right? That you've taken the time to respond to good feedback and bad feedback. And ultimately, those are the things that help consumers make a decision on who they want to work with. So managing your online reviews could not be more important as far as your local SEO strategy is concerned. Again, the businesses that have more positive reviews get a little bit of a boost locally as it relates to SEO. So please invest the time and energy into a review strategy because it will help you out in the long run. Okay. Tip number 3 here, refine your online product catalog. So we're going to dive into the details on why this is important. But before we do that, let's just kind of start from the beginning. Having a product catalog that's integrated into your website is a superpower that's going to significantly improve your SEO. What do I mean by that? Well, I would say most retailers that we work with prior to working with Broadlume don't have access to a product catalog that lives on their website, right? Maybe they work with a local agency or they created their website themselves on Wix or Squarespace, right? The website might look beautiful, but without a product catalog as a tool for their shoppers, their digital shoppers to use, they're missing out on some pretty incredible SEO value. So we're going to talk about what that SEO value is in a second. But before we do that, I just want to say one thing. An integrated product catalog really does provide like a phenomenal experience to your customers, right? So like outside of it providing like really good domain authority, really good SEO, it's a really good shopping experience because most people today, right, when they visit any website, especially any website that has a physical good for them to buy, they've been programmed to expect a product catalog, right? Because they shop on Amazon or Walmart or Target, right? Any of the major retailers, they're expecting to engage with some type of catalog experience on the site. Flooring is no different, right? When someone does a search for flooring stores near them and they get to a retailer's website and there's only like a page or two that talks about the general categories of flooring that particular store offers without giving specific examples, it's not the best customer experience because customers want to window shop online and want to see, generally speaking, what their options are. So in addition to providing just a better customer shopping experience, product catalogs can also give you a pretty significant SEO benefit. So what that means is if you have a product catalog on your website, it needs to be optimized for SEO. And if you don't have a product catalog, you should probably fix that as well. Now, let's talk about how you can optimize your product catalog for SEO, because this is something that, from the very beginning, when we started Broadlume, this was something that we wanted to bring to our retailers, right? This was part of the secret sauce that we learned about when we were at Google. And so I'm going to share some of those secrets with you today. So when we think about our product catalog, at least as far as Broadlume is concerned, we think about it as being an opportunity to give Google thousands of chances to crawl, rank, and index one of our retailers' websites based on the many different pages of content that they have. So what I mean by that is a standard flooring website, before we start working with a retailer, it might have 10, 15, 20 pages of content when it's all said and done. You've got the home page, the about page, maybe there's like a hardwood page, a luxury vinyl page, etc. But outside of that, there's not much additional information. A Broadlume website, because the product catalog is a little bit different, every single SKU in our retailer's catalog gets its own page of content on their website. So if they have 2,000 products in their catalog, they're going to have 2,000 pages of content on their website. And each one of those pages is optimized for SEO. So some of the things that we do across our product catalog product pages is, we're obviously including things like the category of product. So here you can see, we call out that it's luxury vinyl in a couple of places. We're also providing the very specific name of the product and the brand that manufactures the product. So this is 9 Series by TrueCore. We're giving information on the color, right? So this is Chalet Oak, right? We have information on the website as to the location of this business, right? It's in White Plains, New York. And then we're also creating like multimedia opportunities with things like our product visualizer. This is all happening again on this one page of the website. So if this particular retailer has 500 products, right, that are in this category, well, he'll have 500 pages for Google to crawl, rank, and index that have this information. Now, what this is doing is just building a tremendous amount of domain authority for important flooring-related keyword terms, things like luxury vinyl, right? And it's matching luxury vinyl flooring with their location in White Plains, New York. So you can imagine a world if someone's typing in luxury vinyl flooring, White Plains, New York, there's a pretty good chance that this website's going to rank high because of all the different places that content is showing up, okay? Now, we also talked about this at the beginning of the webinar, but let's say someone's done all their research, right? They've done all their research and now they are just looking, they found the product, the perfect product, and they're just looking for a retailer to place the order with, right? So they go to Google and they type in 9 Series by TrueCore, right? Chalet Oak, right? They know that this is the exact product that they want. If you don't have that information on your website, if you don't have a product catalog with that information in it, your website's not going to show up. So that particular search is maybe going to a manufacturer, right? Or it's going to, maybe one of the big box stores if they carry one of these products, right? But it's not going to you. And so that's why we stress the importance of having this type of an experience on your website, because it enables you to capture traffic at the very beginning of a buying journey, right? When someone is typing in luxury vinyl flooring near me, right? And they're just starting their search, but it also gives you an opportunity to show up at the very bottom of the funnel, right? When someone is just ready to make a decision. Now, those might be the most valuable searches that you can put your business in front of. So refining your product catalog, if you have one, could not be more important. Again, this is something that we do standard as part of our relationship with the retailers that work with Broadlume. But if you don't work with Broadlume, again, and you have a product catalog, just make sure that you're keeping it up to date. And then the second thing is if you don't have a product catalog at all, right? Like this is a really easy way for you to add a tremendous amount of SEO value in your local market by including one on your website. I want to say one more thing before we move on, right? Because this is also quite important. When you have a product catalog on your website, it needs to be a part of your website. It shouldn't be embedded in your website. And there's a very specific reason for why that is. If it's part of your website, right? And what I mean by that is if you can see up here that the domain of this website is showing you that these are individual pages built into the website itself, you're getting all the SEO value when the experience is set up in that way. If you add a catalog through an iframe, right, where it basically lives within a portion of your website, Google can't see into it. And so we get some folks that reach out to us that have product catalogs embedded in that way, and they say, hey, we're struggling with SEO. That's one of the reasons, right? Because as far as Google is concerned, that part of the website doesn't exist. So it's really important that when you seek out, solutions for product catalogs on your website, make sure that they're actually built into the website itself. And again, that's kind of what we do standard for all of the retailers that we work with. All right, moving on to tip number 4, create locally relevant content. Now, this is one of my favorite things to talk about because, in my opinion, creating locally relevant content is one of the best ways that you can improve SEO and drive local traffic to your website. Locally relevant content could include a bunch of different things. It can include blog posts, product or service descriptions, how-to guides, right? You can sort of think of it as content that you write or you get someone to write that is geared towards the market that you serve and is providing value to them before they decide to become a customer of yours. Now, you want to make sure that you're honing in on the keywords that might be prevalent or popular in your area, and then use those keywords to develop content of all forms, right? So we're going to use one of our customers, Marshall Flooring. They have a really incredible blog that they spend a lot of time updating. And you can see that this is a great example of a keyword that they're trying to rank for in their local market, right? That keyword's vinyl flooring. And you can see that this is an article about the latest trends in vinyl flooring for Cleveland, right? Their market in 2024. Now, I've highlighted those things in particular because if you think about people that are in Cleveland, right, that might be in the market for vinyl flooring, what are they going to do? They're going to go to Google and they're going to type in best vinyl flooring in Cleveland 2024. They're going to type in best vinyl flooring 2024. But because they're in Cleveland, Google is going to rank this particular part of their website, Marshall's website, a little bit higher, right? Because they're giving that local credibility. And this is a piece of content for that searcher to then engage with, right? Now, the cool thing about this is that you're capturing the attention of that in-market shopper in the moment that they're doing their research, right? And you're providing value to that shopper before they make a decision on what vendor they end up working with. And these things are important, right? This could be the hook that you create to get that person in for a consultation or get them on the phone to explore some of the different products or services that you offer. And so it's really important that this becomes a part of your strategy. Now, I love Marshall's website. I think, the amount of content that they create is incredible. The topics that they cover are great. I think one thing that they could do to take this to the next level is add links, right, on their blog posts that take people that are reading the blog post to those specific product pages or product categories on their website. So imagine a world where you're reading this post and then you want to learn a little bit more about the different types of vinyl flooring that Marshall carries. That's one link over to that part of their website. And now they're deeper into the buying funnel on your website, not anybody else's. It can be a really powerful experience. The one thing, though, to keep in mind when you're creating locally relevant content is you have to be consistent. It is so important to be consistent in the content that you produce. Otherwise, it's never going to build up enough momentum to make a dent in your SEO approach. So I think Marshall posts every week, right? That's incredible, right? Every week, if you can have a piece of content going out to attract different keywords, different subsets of customers in your market, consistency is key as it relates to generating local content for your area to provide as much value as possible. All right. And finally, our last tip is optimize for mobile search. Now, for those of you that have had your website built within the last 6 years, right? You might be getting to this part of the presentation, you might be rolling your eyes saying, Dan, our website's been mobile optimized for 6 years. Well, if you are in that group, congratulations. We talk to a lot of people, though, every day that don't have mobile optimized websites, and it's hurting them as it relates to their SEO, broadly speaking, and specifically their local SEO. The reason for that is in the data, right? 63% of all organic searches online are happening from mobile devices, right? So it's incredibly important that your websites are optimized for mobile experiences, because you want to be taking advantage of that mobile traffic. You want to make your mobile experience, your mobile website experience, as easy as possible for shoppers so that they can do everything that they need to do, to fill out a form, give you a call, send you a text, right? It should be as simple as possible to get them to convert. So a couple things as you're thinking about ways to optimize your website for mobile. The first thing is, if you don't have a responsive website, like responsive design website, you have to address that. That's the very first thing. What I mean by a responsive website is your website adjusts to fit the screen size of any device. So if I'm on my computer, it fits my computer nicely. If I'm on my iPhone, it fits my iPhone nicely. If I'm on my iPad, it fits my iPad nicely. Most modern websites, again, if you've had a website built in the last 6 years, most modern websites are responsive, but make sure that yours is, because that's one of the easiest things that you can solve for to create a better experience for your customers. The second thing to keep in mind to create a better mobile experience is contact forms should be incredibly simple to view and fill out. This is something that I see a lot of businesses get wrong. They have these massive contact forms. The fields are very tiny. It's hard to get your fingers in there, and you're fat fingering things, you're leaving the wrong information. Short and simple is the key here. And Cancers has a really good example on their website, right? Just a few fields. It's designed really well. It's easy for people on their mobile phone to quickly get access to and quickly submit. So please make sure that your contact forms are easy to navigate, because if they're not, those are missed opportunities, missed leads that you could be dealt with. Another thing that can be optimized from a mobile perspective is how interested shoppers can get in touch with you. We're big proponents of click to call and click to text. So those things should definitely be enabled on your website, right? You want to make sure that if someone's on their phone and they get to your website, they can, in one click, give you a phone call. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to give you a phone call. Same thing with texting. One click, they should be able to text your business. Otherwise, you're creating more friction than there needs to be in the shopping journey for that person. Okay. And then finally, you can create better website engagement by offering a mobile-friendly product visualization experience. So you can see here in this example on Cantor's website, right, in that product details page, they're giving their customers an opportunity to upload photos of the rooms that they want renovated to see what different flooring options look like in those physical spaces. It's one of the best experiences that you can create on your website, because most people want to have a general idea of what these new flooring options would look like in their actual space. And when you create that experience on a mobile device, it's even easier because they're able to just quickly click that upload button and then either take a photo or upload an existing photo right from their phone. It just takes a couple of seconds. So mobile, again, it's been on the rise for the last 7 or 8 years, maybe 10 years. Optimizing your website for mobile search is one of the most important things that you can do to generate more interested traffic from searches that are coming from mobile devices. And as we said before, so many people are starting their searches on mobile devices that it's a very important thing to keep in mind. And finally, please remember that the value of local SEO is helping you stand out in your local market, right? It's really designed to create a few benefits that you really should be mindful of. That's well worth the time and investment you need to make in supporting it for your business, right? It's going to enhance your search visibility. It's going to help you build more credibility and drive more referrals through better and more consistent reviews. It's going to drive traffic to your physical location, something that all retailers are looking for today. And it's a very cost-effective solution to drive more traffic and interest in your business and the services that you provide. Thank you for taking time out of your day to attend another Broadlume webinar Wednesday. As a thank you, I'm going to give away 10 free SEO audits to the first 10 retailers that email me. So please, if you're interested in an SEO audit, these are the things that I had to do every single day when I worked at Google. Shoot me an email. It's my personal email address, dan.pratt@broadlume.com. I would love to run an audit for you and chat a little bit about SEO strategy, because I genuinely just love talking about these things. And with that, I think we'll get into Q&A.
All right. So awesome job, Dan. We all know that SEO can be very tricky for those who don't know, how to properly leverage it. Based on the feedback we're already seeing in these channels, a lot of questions on it. So everyone knows I can tend to just talk forever, and I'm going to try not to do that. So we are just going to hop right into the questions. So let's get the first one up on the screen. All right, from Mike Peterson. Is a blog better than a dedicated web page? Dan.
That's a good question, Mike. My opinion on this is a website is always going to be better because of the domain authority that you can build with multiple pages supporting the products and services that you sell. So everything everything within SEO kind of builds on top of each other. So if you have a good strategy on the core pages of your website, it's important to have a blog hosted on the same website to take advantage of that SEO juice, I guess, for lack of a better term. One thing too that that I want to just make very clear for those of you that are interested in writing more blog content for your brands, please make sure that as you're talking about certain topics, you're linking those topics to the relevant other pages of your website that you're referencing, right? So an example would be if you're talking about luxury vinyl and how amazing luxury vinyl is for dog owners. Again, like I said a few minutes ago, you're able to take the content in that blog post and apply it to maybe the product catalog on your website, or the product details page that talks about in detail luxury vinyl. It's a better, more encompassing experience for your customers. It's a good question.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that interlinking is also going to help just boost your overall SEO, while most importantly, getting interested shoppers to the pages that they're reading about. So, let us know if you have any follow-ups there. But yes, always want to have it on the same domain. It's going to be very difficult also managing, multiple websites too. So always a little bit easier there. As we think about creating content, let's go to Cameron Lang's question. This is one that comes up a lot, and we had the right person here speaking about it, because Dan last year, maybe it was almost 2 years ago. No, it was probably last year. Did a really awesome in-depth webinar on ChatGPT, how to use it and how not to use it. I have some thoughts on this one, but Dan, you are the expert. Let's have you start. What are your thoughts on ChatGPT for content on blogs?
I am not an expert as it relates to AI or ChatGPT. I just have an interest in it because it's cool. And I think, all business owners or anyone that's even interested in technology should want to learn as much about AI as you can, because we're in like the earliest of early innings as it relates to that technology. This is a very good question. And there's a lot of like conflicting opinions on AI generated content. Is it going to negatively impact your SEO if you're using a lot of it? And this is not the best answer, but I think it's still a little early for us to have a definitive like yes or no answer on this topic. It's still a little gray. What I will say is you have like a lot of competing big technology companies that are getting into the generative AI space. So obviously everyone knows of ChatGPT, but you have Google's generative AI product that they're investing hundreds of millions of dollars into. And so you might end up in a situation, right, where anything that's created using their generative AI products might not negatively impact your SEO, but maybe other competing products will. So that's my like tinfoil hat conspiracy theory early innings. We've run some tests on it. We haven't noticed like any massive issues, but again, this stuff is very much subject to change as it becomes more and more of a tool that people are using every day.
Yeah, I think it's a great answer. And for those who are interested, Google's version is called Bard, and there's a handful of other ones that you should try out. ChatGPT, it's pulling from a lot of the same sources, but they all have different mechanisms that are going to give you different outputs. So definitely try them out. We know ChatGPT was one of the first to market, and it's sort of the popular one, but there's some really incredible things that other platforms do. My small take on this is, Cameron, it's a great starting point. I always say, using a platform like ChatGPT gets you from 0 to 80 faster than any other way. But from there, I would say put some of your personal spin on it, right? Have it be reflective of your brand and your business. If every single flooring retailer starts saying, I want this blog about luxury vinyl plank, there's going to be this sort of deviation to the mean, right? Everyone's going to have very average and informative information. But when you're thinking about SEO, are you including the right keywords in there? Are these products that you actually have on your website? And Google's also looking at how much time is spent on your pages. So the more engaging and the more that you have your voice in there, you're going to see better performance on the website, which will then inherently help your SEO. So great starting point. I would say throw in some of your little personal flavor there, and I think you'll get to a really good middle ground as
Yeah, and can I just add one more thing there, Jeff? Because I totally agree with you. You like AI tools today should be used to supplement the work that you're going to already do, not necessarily like replace the work that you're going to already do. So, and the funny thing is, like, humans have this like crazy ability to notice like patterns and trends. And I think one of the funny things that have happened in the last year, especially with like generative like AI written content, is if you're not like investing a lot of time editing what those AI tools are providing you, because we're as humans good at pattern recognition, it's become easy to spot the articles that were written by an AI bot, right? And so so that's just one little interesting tidbit. You're not going to like fool anybody because we evolve quickly, and we can start to pick up some of those nuanced writing styles that are exclusive to AI products.
Couldn't agree more. It's very once you start seeing it a lot, you look at something and you're like, yeah, that wasn't written by a human.
Right.
A lot of terms that are not colloquial and we just don't use day to day. But all right, let's keep it rolling. Let's pull up TF. Just keeping on the content side and how that can help SEO. So short videos or blogs are better for SEO. Again, Dan, do you want to take this one or you want me to run with it?
Yeah, historically, it's been like, it's gone back and forth, right? I mentioned this in the webinar, but Google's algorithm is changing literally like every year, right? They make these pretty big updates to it. Right now, like length is preferred. And so you want to make sure that if you're going to write about a topic, that you spend a lot of time like thinking about the best way to frame that topic. Now, having said all of that, right, that's in an ideal world, right? Most of you guys out there, you're busy like running your businesses every day. And so you might not have an hour or two each week to set aside to write these like long blog posts on various content that you want to be ranking for in your local market. So my recommendation to you is just start writing, right? Like I would say a blog post is better than no blog post. I would keep it above 500 words, because anything shorter than that is just going to be really tough to optimize for. But just start writing. And when we're thinking about like SEO strategies and content as a mechanism, especially for a blog, it is consistency in that content. And Jeff knows this quite well. This is feedback that I give him and the marketing team here at Broadlume all the time. If we are not consistently putting out content, it's going to hurt us negatively. So same rules apply to everyone out there. If you can do it once a week, beautiful, right? If it's consistent, you're going to see a much better result at the end of the day. But I would always lean a little bit longer than shorter in any content that you create.
Yeah, and just and TF, let us know if this was intentional, but from a short form video perspective, that's really beneficial if you have a YouTube channel that's looking for keywords within the actual content of the video. Google doesn't look at the video keywords as closely as they do written content on your page, because they look at how far down the page you go, how long you're on it. So, I would use short form video to help drive people to your website, and then still have the blogging element to really drive a ton of traffic independently if you don't have someone to be covering off on that. So the answer is sort of both, but if we had to pick one, stick with the blogs, unless you have any additional questions there. While we're talking about content structure, creative, Marie Sherlock had a great question, and I'm sure many of you also had this as well. So Dan was talking about the multiple different devices that your content can show up on, whether it's desktop, tablet, mobile. So in terms of the actual dimensions, Dan and I are not in the back end day to day. Definitely reach out to your account manager. They can give you those dimensions, and then share it with them, and they'll get it up on your website. But on that sense, really important to make sure that those images are optimized for that device. I think we've all been to websites where super stretched out or pixelated, and it just wasn't set up for that device. Our platform helps clean up some of it, but sometimes can't get it all. So I would just say be consistent in making sure that you always are using the right dimensions for the right device or platform. And one of our favorite tools, we actually talked about this at FloorCon and some of the boot camps, Canva. Canva is such a great tool for helping you edit content if you're doing it yourself, especially for assets. They literally have a little button that says resize, and you can have those as saved presets, and they'll do it for you. All right, see ya, Marie. Yeah, let us know if you have any additional questions there. Dan, anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I think it's a really good question, and we can certainly follow up, Marie. From my, I think the one thing that anyone here that should take away from this conversation as it relates to your website, right, is if your website isn't built in a responsive way, please, for the love of God, rebuild it. And so what I mean by that is, mobile searches are the predominant way that people are searching for anything today. So you want to make sure that your website is optimized for those mobile experiences. How you build your website can support what that website looks like in a mobile state. It's called responsive design. So all of our Broadlume retailer websites are built using responsive design, so that the experience on mobile is no different than the experience on desktop. So if you are out there listening to this, you're not a Broadlume customer, just make sure that your website is built in a responsive way. We come across some websites that were last built in the early 2000s, and you got to zoom in and scroll, and it gets a little bit crazy. So that would be my one big piece of feedback. If you build in a responsive way, then you should be good to go.
All right, got a couple more questions here. Let's pull it up. I know you covered this, but can you remind me the difference between SEO and SEM? One of my favorite questions I ever got was, what was SEO and SEM? Real quick, and I'll kick it over to Dan. SEO, search engine optimization, the acronym. SEM, search engine marketing. So one is the ads, one's the organic. But Dan, you are the ex-Googler here. I'll kick this one over to you.
Yeah. People get this confused all the time. And listen, it's make the joke SEO, SEM, LOL, BRB, right? You just get thrown these acronyms, and Google expects you to figure out what they all mean. Yeah, exactly. Search engine optimization was the topic of this webinar. So I hope people understand a little bit more about what that means. That is just referring to organic search, right? So no paid element. SEM is basically all search engine marketing. So that is inclusive of SEO and any paid advertising that you're running on the platform. So if you're a retailer that's doing SEO, obviously, and paying Google to advertise so that you have those sponsored listings at the top of Google search, that would refer to SEM. It's those two things together.
And when you do have those working together, There is, oh, my Google Home is speaking. Off. All right, well, this is great. We were talking about Google and the Google Home, Google off. The world of technology we live in. So can't say the G word now, but there is a symbiotic relationship. I know that question comes up a lot. Will good SEO and SEM help? Yes, it'll actually bring down your costs and help you have better advertising performance. So both very important, have different, they have the same end goal, but they come in it from two different ways. Okay, looks like we got two more questions, unless anything else pops up. And thank you, Legacy Floor Service. We're here to help. Oh, this is a great one. Do listings and reviews improve SEO? Dan, this is
I love this. I love this question so much. The short answer is yes, and this is something that we try to preach to our customers. And you guys heard me talk about one of our customers, Todd Oser, who does a phenomenal job. His team does a phenomenal job at asking for reviews, right? So obviously he has a Google listing, right? That's the Google Business Profile page. And he is a big proponent of getting as many positive reviews as he can, right? So I would recommend everyone listening to this, follow Todd's lead because, and I mentioned this in the webinar, Google will promote the businesses that have higher, stronger reviews over the businesses that don't, even if that business is a little bit further away than where the person searching for that product or service is, right? So if I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, right, and for those of you that are familiar with the Boston area, and I'm looking for flooring near me, and there is a retailer with better reviews in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Because they have better reviews, Google is going to serve that to me as a better option than maybe the person across the street from where I'm physically located. So it's really important from an SEO standpoint to maximize the value. And that's certainly one way of doing it. And then also, like, the thing about reviews is, I talked about this again in the webinar, it's the new word of mouth, right? So people, even if they're getting your name and information from a friend or a colleague that's worked with you in the past, they're going to Google immediately after getting that name, I promise you, and they're typing in your name and they're looking at all the reviews, and they're looking at a couple of different things too when they monitor the reviews. The first thing is, like, do you have 4 or more stars? That's like the threshold. If you have anything less than that, you got to get some help getting more positive reviews in, because it'll help tell a better story. So that's the first thing they're looking at. Then they're clicking in and they're reading the reviews. They're going to look at when the last review was submitted. Okay, so if it was submitted 2 years ago, that's not a great sign, right? If it was submitted in the last week, you're building more confidence from that person. All right, and then the third thing they're going to look at is, have you responded to any of the reviews, both positive and negative, right? Have you taken the time as a business owner to leave a little bit of a response? If you're able to do those 3 things, I promise you, you're going to see more business, and you'll see more people leave a review as a result, right? Because of the services that you're providing.
And literally, your dream remodeling, just they knew where you're going with this, Dan. They asked how to get rid of bad reviews, non-customer fake reviews. We all see it. Dan, you were pretty much just saying it, but let's lock this one in for your dream remodeling.
Yeah, so it's a really good question, and the businesses that handle this in the best way are the ones that are just transparent and responsive, right? As consumers, we all know that people are not perfect, right? That businesses are not perfect. It's actually kind of weird when you look at Google reviews and they're all 5 stars, right? To me, that screams like a little bit fake. So you want some 4 stars, some 3 stars, some 2 and 1 stars too, right? We understand that businesses aren't perfect, but how you respond is going to be the differentiator between someone saying, yes, this is a business I can trust, or, oof, like, look at all these bad reviews with no responses to it. That's a red flag. So I would say, it's difficult to get a review removed. There's like a process that you can submit, like a case system that you can submit via Google to get like an obviously fake review removed, but it's often difficult for Google to litigate those things. So I would say the best thing that you can do is respond as a business owner in a professional way. If someone left a review by mistake and it was a bad review, I've seen business owners say, hey, like, thanks so much for reaching out. It looks like you meant to leave this review for another business or service. We don't have a record of working with you. If you could kindly remove this, we'd really appreciate it. that's it, right? Like if I'm seeing that as a consumer, then I know, okay, at least they're in a back and forth with that particular customer. So that would be my big recommendation. The more you respond, the better off you're going to be in the eyes of other consumers that are thinking about working with you.
Yeah, if there's a bad or fake review, right? Ignoring it, someone's going to think maybe it was real. Always take the high road. I'd say that is sort of the golden rule. Don't get down in the mud. Don't get into it. It's a public forum, and as Dan mentioned, it is really hard to get them removed. Part of our platform, we do have some technology that helps avoid those fake reviews going up. So definitely look into something like that. Your Dream Remodeling. And sorry, I just keep calling you by the name. That's just what's showing on my screen. But Your Dream. There's definitely technology that can help with that. But again, what Dan said was spot on, right? Don't have a record of this. Maybe this was for someone else. If there's anything I can do to help, if we did work together, please reach out. And then, customers are going to see you're responsive, you're professional. And again, the more positive reviews you have, is going to push that one down and just show that it was fake or not accurate. So that'd be our 2 cents. I guess it'd be our 4 cents at that point on how to approach it. So, all right, we still have questions popping up. I said only 1 or 2 more, but we got a couple. I love this one from Blue Mist Homes. I know what a review is. What is a listing, Dan?
Yeah, a listing is basically your business's profile on directory sites across the internet, right? So your Google business profile would be an example of a listing. Your profile on Yelp would be an example of a listing. Heck, we could go back in time, right? Yeah, exactly. Yep. So those would be all examples of listings, and listings are factored into to Google search, specifically the Google business profile. So again, just going to repeat this. If you haven't gone through the process to verify your business with Google, right, to give you that Google profile, please go and do it. It's really simple and straightforward. If you have any questions about it, I'm more than happy to answer those for you. We do that by default for every Broadlume customer, so they don't have to worry about it. Once you've done that, it's important to keep all that information up to date. Your hours of operation, right? Maybe you're closed on a holiday, the pictures of the work that you've done. These are all things that consumers are looking at to make buying decisions on who they want to work with. If you have really strong reviews, really great photos of your business and the work that you've done, updated information, right, and an easy way to get in contact with you, you're going to be golden.
Yeah, and like Dan mentioned, there's a lot of listing websites that will also give you link backs, which will also help raise your ranking. But in terms of that knowledge graph, aka the Google My Listing page, it's that big thing on the far right hand side when someone's looking for your business. The more that you actually have in there, they actually show up. So if you are a restaurant, they'll show like your rating on OpenTable and on Yelp and on other places. And shows that aggregate reviews. So it just helps show that you're a very legitimate business, that you're of high reputation, and that you should work with them. And what Dan said is often the one thing that I just don't see businesses do enough: upload photos, refresh photos. It is so good to make sure that you have not only what your store looks like from the outside, because that's the first thing the customer's going to look at when they're trying to find your store. What does it look like from the street? What it looks like inside. Hopefully you have a very organized showroom. And if not, let's clean up those showrooms. But then also, staff, recently completed projects. And, this is a free opportunity for you to flex how great of a business you run and a way to showcase the excellent work that you do.
That's a really, sorry, just real quick. That's a really great point, Jeff. And there should be no excuses on taking good photos, because everyone, for the most part, has one of these in their pocket. And the cameras on smartphones today are better than some of the most powerful cameras you could have gotten 10 years ago. So make sure you do what Jeff is saying. Take high quality photos of your team and the work that you've done. It's going to help make you stand out when people are searching for flooring retailers to work with.
One retailer, I'm not going to give, I'm sort of giving away their secret. They've made it a requirement for installers. Job's not done until I have the photos of the finished job. Payments don't go out. So, you have a couple people on job site have them take a bunch of pictures. I guarantee there's going to be a couple of beautiful ones for you to use. So think about working that into your business flow, making sure that your installers know that that is the final step of their job as an employee for you, or 1099. Yeah, it's just, these are small things that will have a big difference when you look back in a year and say, man, really happy I worked that into the flow. So we've kept you guys here for an hour and 10 minutes. This is one of our longest webinars, but a ton of amazing content. Awesome job, Dan. I think this is going to be really helpful for a lot of retailers, and based on the responses and feedback that we had here, it seems like it's going to be super helpful. There was one more question that came in about Dan's audit. So how can they get the free audit? You can reach out to Dan directly at dan.pratt@broadlume.com. You can also drop your email in here and I can grab it and connect y'all as well. But again, the goal is to make sure that you know exactly what you're going to market with, that your SEO is where it needs to be to help you grow your stores and run profitable flooring businesses. And that's everything on my side. Dan, any final words?
No, please. I've got a bunch of emails already to work through. So for everyone listening still that has already emailed me, thank you. I really appreciate it. Excited to do these audits. But appreciate everyone's time. And we love doing these webinars. I won't actually say or speak for Jeff. I love doing these webinars. So please give us ideas on topics that we should cover for you guys. We could dive deeper into SEO, paid ads. We really want to create content that is helpful for the retailers that we work with and even the ones that we don't. So shoot me a note, an email, dan.pratt@broadlume.com with your ideas. I'd love to hear from you.
All right. Well, everyone have a wonderful day. We will see you guys next week with a business management software webinar on our newest product, the one that people are going wild over, product pricing. We have our amazing Forever labels helping you ensure that you are modernizing your showrooms, making sure that you don't have to go through the arduous and painful task of repricing it every time we know there's a pricing change. And I know that you all know how often those come and how much time that sucks up of your team's bandwidth when they can be doing other stuff like taking pictures of completed jobs or updating your Google My Business. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And with that, there's another webinar Wednesday. We will see you guys on the